We've got playoff stakes and state pride on the line in rivalry weekend. It is the battle for the Palmetto State supremacy between South Carolina and Clemson. And here to help us break down the Tiger side of things, we've got Austin Hannon from Clemson 24/7. And let's tell you a little bit more about this matchup that's happened one or two or 121 times so far. And a win for the Gamecocks here would mean win number 9 this season, which would be a first for them since 2017, while a Clemson victory would give Dabo 10 wins against his rival, South Carolina. That certainly keeps people very happy in terms of Clemson fans when you can continue to beat the rival. But I said it, Austin, there's potential playoff stakes in this game for both of these teams. It seems like from the South Carolina side of things, a win would be great, and then they just have to wait to see what the committee does. But how about for Clemson? How could they sneak into this dance?
Yeah, I just think weeks ago, both of these programs, they weren't really in a position to be in the college football playoff, especially after Clemson, had that second loss to Louisville at home. Of course, South Carolina has 3 losses, and they've had the 3 losses since pretty early in the season. So I don't think either fan base was really expecting this to be a game with this kind of magnitude, but here we are. And so for Clemson, the path is pretty clear. There's 2 of them. If you want to go through the ACC, they're done with conference play, but they're going to be sitting around after the game, either happy or not so happy if they lose the game. But Miami plays right after them. They go to Syracuse. It's pretty simple. Miami wins that game. They go to the ACC title to play SMU. Miami loses that game. Clemson goes to Charlotte to play SMU. Assuming Miami wins, the other path, obviously, for Clemson is just to beat South Carolina and hope that the committee, albeit not a great resume, because unfortunately for the Tigers, they're in the ACC and there haven't been on their schedule as many opportunities for quality wins. Of course, they had the loss to Georgia. That would have been one. And the loss to Louisville would have been another one. Probably the second biggest win they could have gotten on their schedule. And they lost both. And so it's kind of remarkable that they're even in this position saying that. But chaos ensued last weekend, and here we are. And so they win the game. I think either team, especially with an emphatic win, would feel really good going into Selection Sunday. But we still need to figure out how the committee is going to, quantify South Carolina's 3 losses. How would they look at Clemson as a 2-loss team out of the ACC when most people have kind of assumed that will be a one-bid league this year? Obviously, SMU starting to make that pretty difficult. So I think Clemson would be confident that they would probably be in the field. I think just with the resume of having 10 wins, having 2 losses that are to quality opponents. I don't know how much goes into the committee's thinking, but when you think about Clemson, you think about those 2 trophies that they lifted not too long ago. And so if there's going to be a team that gets a benefit of the doubt in this scenario, it wouldn't be all that surprising for it to be a coach and Dabo Swinney that's won a couple national titles. So huge game this weekend. But aside from the college football playoff, like you said, Emily, this game means a lot more than just CFP and getting in. There's a lot of South Carolina fans in the state. There's a lot of Clemson fans in the state. Some will be happy. Some will be upset on Saturday night.
Yeah, so for Clemson fans, your ideal Saturday is you beat your rival around noon, then you keep that orange on and you root for Syracuse to beat Miami. So there are going to be a lot of Syracuse fans, especially if Clemson wins this game. But yes, you got to take care of business. Speaking of, let's talk about matchups in this game. Starting with the Clemson offense versus the South Carolina defense. This Gamecocks defensive line has been grabbing headlines all year for good reason. That pass rush led by Dylan Stewart, Kyle Kennard, has caused really everybody problems. But it sounds like there might be some injuries on the Clemson offensive line. So how do the Tigers work around that and still find success on offense?
Yeah, it's been a patchwork group here the last couple of weeks, and it's not, they haven't been the biggest wins. Obviously, Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech, but neither of those is really going to wow you when you watch college football every weekend. But to go on the road and do it in the fashion they did it, with the left side of their line completely out, obviously Tristan Lee and Marcus Tate, the left tackle and left guard respectively, have both been out for Clemson. Dabo this morning said, he feels pretty confident that maybe we'll both be able to play. They're trending in the right direction. But like you said, it's going to be super, super important with the defensive line that South Carolina's got. They get all over you. You've got Dylan Stewart. They've got guys all over that line that can pressure the quarterback. And so that's been kind of an issue in recent years for Clemson and for Cade Klubnik, is dealing with that pressure and not making mistakes and stuff like that. And so, it's gonna be very important for them to get those guys back, just because right now, they're playing with guys, the left tackle and the left guard and the right, they're all playing positions that they're not really used to play. Just because of the experience they have and because the backups. the backup left tackle, the one that played in the Virginia Tech game, got injured on the first snap of the Pittsburgh game, was a true freshman in Elijah Thurman. So they were already thin to begin with, and now you lose a true freshman, and now you're switching guys all over the place. So it's going to be very important for them to get those guys back, and we'll see if they do come back, and Clemson's going to need them for sure.
And that's definitely going to be a key matchup in this game. On the other side of things, we've got the South Carolina offense versus the Clemson defense. And when it comes to South Carolina, I mean, Lenore Sellers is playing some of his best ball right now. He's coming off of 2 games of 300 yards. And also, there's a guy by the name of Rocket Sanders that has been a big key to the success on offense for them. So overall, looking at this matchup, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina just runs the ball so well, and they do it so often. I think they actually rank towards the bottom of the country in throwing the football, meaning they want to run it. That's how they do it. They do it with the quarterback. They do it with Rocket Sanders. And for Clemson defensively, stopping the run in some of their bigger games has been a big issue. And speaking of injuries, like we have DeMonte Capehart starting defensive tackle. I don't know if he's going to play on Saturday. He's been out for a few weeks. He's got a little bit of an ankle thing going on. If he's not able to go, they've got some guys behind him in Stephon Green and Trey Williams that can play football and have stepped up down the stretch of this season. But that, of course, is against ACC competition. And so that's kind of the big thing for Clemson in this game on defense is we've seen them have these lapses against teams that aren't as good as South Carolina. And so is it because, maybe they were banged up, the effort wasn't there in a game that they thought they should win, that kind of thing? Will we see a better effort in a rivalry game at home and get that crowd involved? But South Carolina's going to have to win this game. They're going to have to win this game. They're going to have to prove that they can throw the ball too. I think. I don't think that this is a scenario where they can feel comfortable just running the ball all day and think that they can get a road win in Death Valley. So Sellers is going to have to put the ball in the air sometimes. And I think even if he does that, Clemson's got some issues on the deep back end with their safeties and stuff like that. So there are ways for South Carolina. There is ways for South Carolina to move the ball this weekend, but they're going to have to do it run and pass, and Clemson's got to be prepared for both.
Yep, gotta find that balance on offense that every team really is searching for. We simulated this game 20 times on EA College Football 25, the video game. I just love to see how well they did the traditions. That is fantastic. Clemson won it 14 of the 20 times. So, Austin, this is a video game, but we're talking about real life. What's the biggest key to pulling out a win in the real football game?
Yeah, I think it all revolves around Lenore Sellers and Cade Klubnik, and we always talk about that. It's the quarterbacks that define these big games like this. Who with the ball in their hands can make enough plays down the stretch of a game, which everybody expects is going to be close. I think this is inside of a field goal. It's going to come down to a few drives in the fourth quarter of who's going to punt, who's going to score a touchdown. Lenore Sellers, his legs, it's a big key in this game because Clemson has struggled with that. And struggled against quarterbacks that can run the ball. And so if he can effectively do that like he has over the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, South Carolina I think their fan base feels pretty good about their chances. They feel pretty confident going into this game. But there's just so much on the line. And this would just be, it feels like there's going to be a lot of pressure teetering on both ends, but I think especially the Clemson end on Saturday when this game is close to going down the stretch. This is an opportunity for South Carolina to win their second straight game at Death Valley, which is not, winning a game in Clemson is something that not a lot of teams have done under Dabo Swinney's tenure. Shane Beamer's looking for his second in a row. Obviously, the last time these two teams played at Clemson, the Tigers kind of gave the game away down the stretch. And so I think that they're kind of looking for an opportunity to kind of correct that. And of course, these teams got a lot of players that know each other and they went to high school together, played against each other in the past, and they're looking forward to do it again. So a lot of bragging rights. But I do think the key to this game is going to be Lenore Sellers, and if he can look like that veteran quarterback that he has all season.
Yeah, this may be one of, if not the best rivalry matchups this weekend. Sometimes you get to the end of the season and the rivalry game has lost a little bit of its luster. This is not the case. There is so much on the line in this game. And Austin, thank you so much for breaking it down for us. We do appreciate it. You can check out more of his work at Clemson 24/7 for everything you need to know about the Clemson Tigers. And then go check out our friends at the Big Spur for everything on South Carolina.